Welcome to He Did This to Me, the sports podcast from a father and son who happen to be mostly optimistic Knicks, Mets, and Jets fans. My name is Nick, a.k.a. Goody, and with me is my old man, a.k.a. the big guy, Noel. And just like his name, all we do is win. Let's get to the show. It's time to begin. NBA free agency is in full effect. One of the most surprising moves to some people, but many people inside the Warriors, as reports have come out recently, say that this was a foregone conclusion. Klay Thompson is now a Dallas Maverick. Allegedly, it was getting very toxic in that locker room, and he turned down more money from the Lakers. Reports are that last year was hell for Klay in Golden State, and some reports say that Klay was very difficult to deal with within the locker room last season. Talk to me, big guy. How do you feel about Klay Thompson moving to Dallas?
Surprised to hear, about the toxicity in that locker room. You always feel like it's running smooth. I guess part of that is because Kerr and our guy Chef,
Curry,
they keep a very cool exterior, so it seems like everything's fine. And listen, I get it in certain ways because Klay's been a good soldier, all that. What's his name? Draymond gets broken off a little something, but that's at a much lesser rate, right? Draymond got something at like $25 million a year for 4 years. Klay wouldn't have settled for that, right? So how much did Klay get from the Mavs?
well, he ends up getting, let me pull up the exact contract details, but it's not about money because he turned down more money from the Lakers to go to Dallas. I think that Klay, first and foremost, just wanted a change of scenery. He just wanted to get out of there. And some people say he didn't want to go to the Lakers because he didn't want to be in that fishbowl again. And I think he looked at the Lakers and he looked at the Mavericks and just felt like the Mavericks were a better chance to win. I mean, remember, the Mavericks couldn't. Right there. Exactly. The Mavericks couldn't hit a three in the finals. And he sat there and he watched that. And now he's like, yo, you add me to that team. And I think it's an absolute home run for them. He's a perfect fit for that team because those two guys and Luka and Kyrie, they draw so much attention. And if Klay's standing there behind the 3-point line, even in a down year, he's going to shoot 38, 39%. And in an up year, he's going to shoot, 40-something% and be one of the most dangerous long-range threats that we've ever seen. So I think it's a home run for them. I think Klay wanted to get out there and he wanted to try something different. I think the Dubs wanted to try something different. And like now the Warriors, they get to kind of move on and still keep some of their core. And then the news just broke that they got Buddy Hield officially as well. And he's almost like a Klay Thompson light. Him and Chef Curry, they have the most threes in the league over the last 5 years. They're number 1 and 2. So, they get to retool a little bit. And like I said, I think for Dallas and for Klay, it's a great move.
Yeah, no, the Buddy Hield pickup for Golden State is a good one. For Dallas, it's a great fit. I mean, and then his defense adds a lot that team needs also. Although his defense
not
is
so
lesser,
fast on that. Not so fast on that.
His defense is not what it used to be. I think just the defensive mentality will be good for that team. That's what I'm talking about. Maybe impart some wisdom to Luka as far as effort and positioning, all that, But no, I think it's a definite win for him. I mean, I understand him not wanting to go to Lakers because, stepping into that whole Lakers, LeBron whole thing, like you said, in the fishbowl again. Maybe you just don't need that. At Dallas, he can just go and do what he does. He's going to get some attention there in Texas. But, as long as the Cowboy season's going on, that this attention will be, not so much, And I just think it's a good fit for him, even though, surprising. I thought the whole Kobe connection with Lakers and growing up a Lakers fan, his dad, that whole thing, it might get a stronger pull, but I understand why he didn't go, and decided to go to the Mavs.
2 years, 40 million. So 20 million per for Klay. So, I mean, I think he could have got that lots of places. He really wanted to go to the place that was the best fit for him. And, that's a place where they'll barely have to dribble. and he'll barely have to dribble. And as far as defense, I mean, shout to my guy Jason Baum. He was saying he's a huge Dubs fan, huge Bay Area sports fan, and I was talking to him the other day, and he was saying how Klay's become a bit of a cone on defense recently. I mean, post those injuries, when you have injuries like that, it's definitely going to slow you down on D. And I mean, obviously, Father Time is undefeated, but it'll be really, really interesting to see how that works out for them. I think if he stays healthy and Luka does some of the make some of the improvements that you and I have talked about recently, I could see them being obviously a threat. They just got to the finals, and it seems like this offseason they got better.
Yeah, they're going to be a threat. I mean, no doubt about it. That West is going to have a lot of interesting teams again. I mean, obviously, Oklahoma City is going to be very good again. And, Denver keeps losing people, Nick. I mean, they don't seem to be, like I heard somebody talking about, they made a good point. You get this window in the NBA where you got a shot, and like doing something 2 and 3 years back to back or three-peat. You only get that shot if you keep those guys, man. They lost Bruce Brown, and now they lost Contavious Caldwell-Pope.
Yep.
These are very important role players for those teams, man. It's just like, I just think, they're letting certain things slip away without replacing these guys, and it's going to be interesting to see who that hierarchy is in the West next year.
Yeah, you got to throw Minnesota in there too, as well, obviously. And when it comes to Denver, I heard that they are looking to possibly add Russell Westbrook.
I don't understand that.
I
don't know why that's a plus.
I guess
he's
it's
running
like
the second team, maybe.
Yeah. He's coming off the bench. He's running that second team. He gives them somebody else who can get downhill. Gives them somebody else who can get out in transition. I've never loved Westbrook's game. I've never loved his game personally. I know you've been a little bit more of a fan of him than I have
earlier years ago.
Yeah. I just think that, like you said, you get that window, and when you get that window, you really got to go for it. Speaking of a team that's going for it, the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah.
They have signed they've signed Gordon, they signed Drummond as a backup, they re-signed Oubre, they extend Maxey, and they sign Paul George to a max deal. He comes in and he immediately gives them a two-way player. He is a little bit up there in age. He does have some injury history, but a lot of people are talking about Philly and their big three and them being threats in the East. What do you think about the moves they've made this offseason?
I think, I think Philly had to do what they did. Okay. I mean, it got to a point where they didn't get Paul George. What were they going to do? All right. Now, Eric Gordon is a threat. I mean, I think Eric Gordon's a good, solid player. He
always kills the Knicks.
He always kills the Knicks, and he's just a solid ball player. Listen, we've talked about Oubre. I think he's a good fit for them. I like Oubre. Paul George, first of all, Drummond. Okay, come on. They can have Drummond. I'm just not that. I get it that
I like Drummond as a backup big, Dad.
I don't like him.
He defends the rim. He rebounds. I like him as a backup big.
I'd rather go younger. I like when you're picking up certain guys, Nick. I like getting younger guys who are alive and all that. I just think Drummond's best days have passed him by. He doesn't move the needle much for me. And Paul George, listen, Paul George is a legitimate star, Nick, but I think a lot of what he's working off of is past tense, man. To give that guy, what do you get, 4 years, $200 million or something like that? I think that's insane. With his injury history and as old as he has, the last 2 years of that, if you get a good first 2 years out of that contract where he plays 65 games or more, you're lucky. Okay? We know it's a real possibility he won't play that. And hopefully for them, he'll be healthy in the postseason. The last 2 years are going to be a disaster. That's going to be worse than a pull holes type of deal. It's just a bad idea. I'm telling you, Nick, they're going too far. I get it that you're saying you got to go for it and so forth, but they're loading it up with age, and I think that ends up working against you. I think that's the one good thing I've liked about what the Knicks have done in the last few years is they haven't brought in the aging star so much. And I think that's a plus, man. That's not a recipe that wins. Okay, I'm not a big Embiid guy, but now, okay, after this year, we're going to see, right? Because he's had who? He's had Jimmy Butler. He's had James Harden. He's had Fashionista. Ben Simmons. He's had who else? Who else? The other people.
Tobias Harris. Does he get
Tobias
mentioned
Harris.
in this in this conversation?
Toby, not a great pickup there. And who else? Oh, James Harden. Let's not forget Chicken Wing, James Harden. You know. So listen, man, this guy's had a lot of top run guys to be his sidekick, and it hasn't worked. Not really at all. Because I mean, they haven't gone anywhere in the playoffs.
They haven't gotten out of the second round.
Exactly. I don't think Paul George is really going to exalt them to higher levels. I really don't. I don't think they've done a great job. I don't think that guy Daryl Morey's a great GM. How about that?
Well, I mean, you went ahead and said it, but I was going to tell you to go ahead and say it with your chest because you texted me. You were hoping that Philadelphia got Paul George because you felt like it was all going to blow up. And I think after the Knicks go and get Mikal Bridges, a guy who they drafted, by the way, whose mom worked for the organization, and they traded him on draft night. Awesome. And then the Knicks go, and he grew up just outside of Philly, obviously. And then the Knicks go and get him, and it's almost like at that point they had to get Paul George. They had to do something. They had to do something to add to that team and that team's wing depth. And I think they were interested in him anyway, but you know the Knicks kind of forced their hand. And I think it makes them a good team with a lot of ifs. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, if everybody stays healthy. And, you know, you look at the numbers and Joel Embiid, he plays 70 games like once in his career. You know, Paul George.
I like that one. You were going to say Joel Embiid.
that was a Freudian slip, I guess. But no, your guy Paul George, he did play 74 games last year. Okay. And as somebody did point out to me on Twitter, he's played more games in the last 2 years than Julius Randle has. But over his career, he's been somewhat injury prone, but also go back to last year's playoffs. Last year's playoffs, he was not good. He's not the defender he used to be. And, you know, we'll see what
that playoff P thing was an absolute misnomer. It was a joke.
I mean, first of all, don't give yourself a nickname, okay? The only person that's ever given themselves a nickname and it worked out was Kobe, and he's Kobe, okay? So, right. I mean, at the end of the day, man, like, I just, you know, like you said, with Joel Embiid, it's like, okay, Joel, like, they're giving you all these different sidekicks. You got Maxey, who we know how good he is and how dynamic he is, and it's up to Joel to come in that type of shape where, you know, he can retard some of those injuries, and also to not just be available, but really be a force when playoff time comes around. And, you know, he has not been able to do both of those things consistently throughout his career. And I just, you know, fuck Philly, man. You know, my thing is that after last year and that bullshit that he pulled with Mitch and all the dirty shit they did, they are public enemy number one to me. He is, like I've said before, the basketball version of Chase Utley for me. And I hope everything goes wrong for them. If he slipped on a pork medallion and hurt himself, I wouldn't feel bad for them at all. Shout to the Jerky Boys. But yeah, man, it's just, you know, it'll be interesting to see. NBA free agency is always lit. It's always enjoyable. It's always fun. There's always things going on. And, you know, it leads to new storylines and, you know, new things to look forward to come October.
Hey, look, all I got to say is the Sixers are going to suck. And they're going to break the hearts of all you Sixer fans. And I'm talking to you, Cy Money, and Godson, Half Note Graham. They're both gone down. Sorry, Sixers are going to suck. That's all I got to say.
Now, as we talk about free agency, we have to talk about the fact that Isaiah Hartenstein is now an Oklahoma City Thunder. 3 years, $87 million. The Knicks, the most that they could offer him was 4 years at 72. Listen, kind of hard for a guy to turn down 29 per as opposed to, you know, what, 16 and change. And bird rights to me make no sense. I don't understand why a guy comes here. We give him the deal, we develop him, he becomes better, but now some other team can pay him more than we can. I don't really get that. I don't understand that, but I'm sure, you know, smarter minds than me came up with that structure for some sort of parity or some bullshit. But this is what happens when you're a good team, is that when you're a good team, some of your, you know, not best, but like second rung players, some other team is going to give them a bag, and sometimes you lose them. And, you know, it's sad to see him go, but, you know, what do you think? What did you think when you saw that news come out?
I'm sorry to see him go. I like Hartenstein. I like the way he played. I love the way he developed with us and everything. But the truth of the matter is, first of all, there's a difference between bird rights and early bird rights.
Yeah, we
I
had
don't
his
know what that
we
is.
had his early bird rights and his bird rights. But then how is it that we have OG and we have his bird rights?
I don't know, man. I don't know. But whatever it is, I know that Leon and them understand, and we lost him. That's it.
Yep.
What the issue is, even if we could have paid him whatever, Nick, I'm sorry. I love Hartenstein. He's not worth $29 million a year. He's
Right.
not that good. And that ultimately, since they only signed him for 3 years, that's a good signing for them because they are going for it right now. And I get it. He's a good signing for them and
And they
everything.
also have so many young players that
Exactly.
they almost needed to spend money.
Exactly. So it worked for them, but I don't think we would have paid him 29 million anyway. I think I've been reading that we're looking, clearly the free agent market for centers has dried up, and we're looking at some trades now. I don't know how willing Danny Ainge out in Utah is going to be with trading with us and not holding us over a barrel. That guy Kessler seems like a perfect fit, but and Utah is in a virtual rebuild, so they might be looking to throw off some people. And they say that some guy, Nick Richards at Charlotte, who's also a possibility. Um, we're going to have to get somebody and develop them. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, we're going to have to do with somebody else what we did with iHart last year. That's it.
At the end of the day, I trust in Leon.
That's
Okay.
it.
He's always patient. And really, if you look at it right now, if we bring Precious back and between Mitch, Precious, and Sims, I'm good with that. Okay.
Mm.
I'm okay with that because the thing is, you got to look at what Isaiah Hartenstein was going into last season. Tom Thibodeau is the center whisperer. Okay. He gets guys in there. I was watching, actually, my son and I were watching Jalen Brunson highlights last night. And you know what I noticed? A lot of great passes that ended up in Precious Achua's hands. And now all of a sudden, he's getting the dunk. And if you remember what Precious Achua was when he first came to the Knicks last year and what he ended up becoming by the end of the season and in the playoffs, he developed. So I have the trust in this entire staff to develop these guys. Mitch, it's all about health with him. And I hope he's got a little bit of chip on his shoulder for how this offseason has gone down. And he comes in even better shape and somehow is able to avoid some of these silly injuries that he's gotten. I don't know if that's possible. I think we got to kind of bank on, Mitch missing some games, but also don't sleep on Ariel Hukporti. I mean, I don't know if I'm saying his last name right or not, but I mean, this guy is 7 feet tall. He's 245 pounds. And Ariel Pacheco, who writes for the Strickland, he had a thread on X that showcases just his overall motor and attention to defense. Tibbs is going to love this guy. He shows and recovers on the pick and roll. As I said, he's 7 feet tall. He's long. He's got some bounce to him as well. I think that he could end up being a contributor for the Knicks. And when it comes to what we do at center, if we add somebody great, I have no faith in the ability to be able to make a trade with Danny Ainge and the Utah Jazz. And also, I like Kessler. He's okay, but he played 23 minutes a game on a team that wasn't that good. I'm not giving up too much for this guy. Okay.
Right.
We just gave up a ton of picks in the Bridges deal. I think that if we can get him for a decent price, that would be great, but there's no way Danny Ainge is going to give us anything for a decent price. So I think what might end up happening is we roll with the guys that we have. We get Precious back. Now that we've completed the Bridges trade and we included Shake Milton, we now have, I think we have 16 million before we get to the second apron. So that gives us a little bit more flexibility. And if we were going to lose that flexibility to keep Isaiah Hartenstein, that's one thing. But if we're not going to be able to keep him, I'm sure that Leon wants to be able to keep that flexibility.
No doubt. And listen, something else I saw somebody bring up that really made a lot of sense to me. So with Julius Randle down, Hartenstein took a lot of that high post possessions where he got the ball and he could make the pass or he could make that little lollipop. That's not going to be there with Julius Randle on the court. Julius Randle's going to be doing that.
Good call.
And doing it better. And doing it better actually than Hartenstein.
I don't know if Julius is quite the passer that Hartenstein is. Hartenstein's a very
you know what? He's going to score more from that. We're going to get more production from the high post with Julius Randle.
Absolutely.
So I don't think the loss is really going to be felt that much. The loss will obviously be felt when Mitch is not on the court, and can these other guys offensive rebound and just rebound like this guy was doing for us and block as many shots. We're not getting that from Precious and Sims like we were from Hartenstein. The offensive rebounding and the shot blocking and even the low post defense. I mean, that's where Sims suffers. So I don't know what we do there, but hopefully Sims turns the corner this year with that.
Sims has to step up, and I just think Precious with a full camp, second year, and it's no foregone conclusion that we bring him back, though it does sound like the Knicks are trying to.
But he's only 6'9". That's 6'8", 6'9".
But he played a lot of center for us last year,
He does.
And he did pretty well. And I think that we're also going to see, speaking of Julius, a lot more, lineup of death type lineups where he's the center. And, OG is the 4. I think that we're going to see that sometimes, especially depending on matchups. And that's just a product of today's NBA. The Julius slander that's out there. I mean, all these people out here who are saying things like, the Sixers have 3 players that are better than any player on the Knicks. That's wild talk, in my opinion. And, everybody talking about, Brunson, they have Brunson, but, they need the guy is a all-star and an all-NBA player perennially over the last few years. Like, I don't get why people just act like he's just, some guy. It's like, no, he's 25, 10, and 5. And, he can score from anywhere on the floor. And I just think that he's probably sitting there and he's reading a lot of this. And he's a worker. He's going to come in with a bit of a chip on his shoulder next year. Oh, yeah. And I feel like the Knicks, everybody was so excited about the Knicks when they got Mikal Bridges. And then they lose Isaiah Hartenstein. And then I see, the odds change in Vegas. Like, Hartenstein's good. I like Hartenstein. Okay. I love him. Take it easy. It's not like he's totally changing your roster. And you know what? You want to go to OKC? That's cool. But realize this. There's going to be a lot of games where he doesn't finish the game, because having him and Chet on the floor together in a modern day NBA is not going to be the easiest thing to do. Okay. So now you go out there and you make some more money. You do it in Oklahoma City. Obviously the tax situation is much better there, but at the end of the day, I've never heard anybody say once a Thunder, always a Thunder. Okay. So if you want to go over there and you want to make some extra money and you want to get that back, I can't begrudge you that. But I think that if we revisit this in, say, 5 years, everybody, including Hartenstein, is going to say, I wish I would have stayed in the Knicks. He should have stayed.
I don't think so. The guy's got $11 million more a year in his bank account. That's big. That's big, Nick. I got to tell you.
Once you're making that much. Go ahead.
If it was my son, I would say, go get that money. That's why he played so hard and played so well last year, Nick. This guy was a G League guy a couple of years ago. You got a chance now to really, really, really cash in. Take that flipping money right now, man. It's a business. And it's not like you're going to some shitty team that's in the dregs of the West. That team was the best team in the West last year. Take that money, man. This is why you play this game. We're getting all sentimental and all this. If that was your child, no. Not even if it was your child, because if it was your child and you're a Knicks fan, that's what it's all about, right? No, or you're leaning for that reason. If that was your client, you would say to him, dude, take that money. You're never going to get a contract offer like this again. Take that money. He's not going to get paid like that, $29 million a year, I think, ever again. They're desperate.
I think obviously it's your profession. You making money is important. But I think you play this game to win. And I think that winning in New York City would be something that, him getting a championship in OKC, if that happens, that'll be great if he wins and all that. But I think that what we were building here and winning here is something that is special. And if you're not a guy who's willing to take a little bit less, or take not even a little less, it would be a lot less. It'd be a lot less to stay here. Then, hey, we can't keep you. And that's what it is. We offered him the max that we could. It's not like we didn't try to keep him. And I don't begrudge him going and doing that. But I also think that once you're making tens of millions of dollars, the extra money that nothing in his day-to-day is going to change. He's still going to be able to do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. It's extra money. It's great. But I think that, if he was my son, if he's my client, yes, I would tell him to take the money because I'm getting a percentage of that. And I want to make the most money myself. If he
forget the percentage. You wouldn't tell him to take the money?
I would ask him what's most important to him. Is it most important to? I ask him about what's most important to you. If what's most important to you is making as much money as possible during your career, then absolutely you should go and you should take the most money. Obviously, that's easy, right? But if what's most important to you is your work environment and your legacy and whether or not you win, then I would say you need to weigh those things. And maybe he thinks Oklahoma City has a better chance to win than the Knicks, and maybe he didn't love playing with the Knicks so much and he didn't love the guy so much. I don't know. It seemed like he did. And hey man, at the end of the day, like I said, I don't begrudge him. And I'm not one of these people who's like, oh, thank you, Isaiah Hartenstein, I wish you well and blah blah blah. No. Go be over there. Go be a Thunder. Enjoy yourself in Oklahoma, and we'll see you twice next year. And Mitch is going to dunk on your funky head.
I don't get the hate. I think, listen, he's not like a guy like Hartenstein has been getting paid big money all this time. In fact, what was his salary like last year? This is his first contract of big money. Okay, if he had got paid $17 million by the Knicks this year, I would think that would almost double his salary.
Yeah, I think he made like $8-9 million last year. But my thing is that if you're making $8 or $9 million and you're making $20 million, those two people, they live the same life.
No, they don't, and they have a much different bank account, and that's really easy for you to say or for me to say, not for them to say. I mean, no, Nick, we're talking about a difference of $30 million. And like I say, it's not like he's gotten paid that kind of money before. Not like he was making $20 million a year the last 3 years. So his bank account is just huge. It's mega. This is it. This is your time. And I think he needs to take that money. And again, it's not like he's gone to some shitty team. Things were great here with the Knicks, but, at the end of the day, this is what it's about. And listen, if he didn't play that well with the Knicks, they'd have bounced him, unceremoniously and whatnot. But, I think you got to take it when you get the chance. And I don't begrudge him, and I do wish him well. He played well for us. I hope he plays well for them, only not when he's playing the Knicks. But, I wish him well. He's a good player, and seems like a good teammate. Maybe he'll be back someday.
Nah, I don't want him back. Stay out there. Stay over there. But once a Thunder, always a Thunder. Go be a Thunder. If you come to the Knicks, though, yeah, there's a come to the Knicks and then you end up leaving or you end up getting traded. You get paid. I mean, you got iHart got paid this offseason. Right. Quick got paid this offseason. Toppin got paid this offseason. So, like I said, when you're a good team and you develop talent, you're not going to be able to keep everybody. And sometimes guys got to go and they got to chase the bag. Like I said, hey, God bless him, go do your thing. But I'm not one of these people who's like, rooting for him to do well in Oklahoma City. I could care less. I think he's going to become way less relevant just because of that. Like I said, that not just because it's Oklahoma City, but that whole thing with, Chet and how much they have invested in him and how important he is to that team. I just don't see the two of them being on the floor a ton together, especially at the ends of games. But he will, do very well in the pick and roll with SGA. And it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Wish we could have kept him, but like I said, Mitch is going to have something for him when we see him.
Hopefully. Let's see. That'll be a great matchup.
And then Pacome. So I was listening to Locked On Knicks with Gavin Shaw, and he had on Chuck of the Chucking Darts podcast, and he said that he actually likes Dadier more than Reese, this kid who went number 1 overall. He saw them play against each other last year, and in the matchup, he said that he felt like Dadier has more of a feel for the game. That Reese is one of those guys that's almost like he's like, all right, if this happens, I do this. Whereas Dadier is a little bit more like free flowing and just, plays basketball. And in that head-to-head matchup, he thought that he got the best of him. He thought that, Dadier's team did win overall. He said that they did guard each other. He's got just a better feel for the game. He's got a bigger bag offensively, and he's not quite the defender that this kid Reese is. But I'm hype on this kid, and it just came out that he did go ahead and get released from his team. I think he was playing in the German league most recently, and he will be with the Knicks, and he signed his rookie deal. It's not a 2-way contract. I'm sure he'll spend some time in the G League, but we are very, very deep at wing. but I would not be surprised if this guy ends up being a contributor. I love everything I see from him as far as the tape and his mindset. And, but I know both him and Kolek, like the day after the draft, I'm pretty sure Dadier went to the actual Knicks facility, and then Kolek was, shooting somewhere in New York with this guy Brickley, who's like one of the biggest NBA trainers. And I'm just, I'm stoked on Kolek. He's a perfect fit as well. As you called him, he could be our, McConnell, and, he can shoot, he can distribute, and he seems like a guy who's also ready to contribute immediately.
Yeah, no, I like all those moves, and I'm reading good things about McCullers, also the kid from Kansas, and I've read really good things about the kid. Was it Paco Dadier? And he Pacom. It's easier to just say Paco.
You're the French guy. You took French, right?
I did for many years, but he's a good player from everything I've seen. His height, his length. He can shoot. He can shoot from deep. I've read a lot of good things about him. So now we just have to see. The summer league this year is going to be very interesting. I'm looking forward to that. They were saying some guys are already playing like this weekend up in like some sort of San Francisco league. This weekend. But the real summer league that we get to see in Vegas, I think, starts next week or something like that. But yeah, that'll be interesting. I'm excited to see that. And I don't know who's coaching for the Knicks. Probably the Asian fellow. He coached last year, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm not sure who the coach will be. We'll see. But I was talking. So speaking of McCullough, I was talking to my buddy Pat, who he's a Jayhawk, follows their basketball team avidly, and I asked him, if we're scouting report on this guy, and he said to me, he's not a dog. Tibbs might break him. He sat out quite a bit when he could have played last year for quote unquote injuries. Best case, he's a go-to depth scorer. Worst case, he's in the Albanian D League by 2026. So, supposedly he's a good defender. He can shoot. But hey, the good thing is that we don't need any of these guys to contribute. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, maybe Kolek, we might need some contribution from him as far as just a backup point guard. And like I said, the fact that he passes the ball so well, I think is something that we're really missing. I mean, Jalen Brunson is a good distributor, but he's not like a pass first guy. And especially on that second unit, when Brunson went out, especially once the injury started to happen, we just had nobody else that seemed like they could create a bucket for somebody else other than Brunson. So adding another guy that can do that, he's a senior. He already looks at Brunson as one of the guys he tries to model his game after. And I just think it'll be a good fit. He seems like a Tibbs guy. He seems like a guy that Tibbs is really going to like. And, he's, like I said, he seems like a guy that's ready to contribute right now. He comes in with a chip on his shoulder. He's been a guy who's always been overlooked his entire career. He's definitely got a little bit of dog in him. I've seen videos of him working out. He can shoot. And, I'm just really, really excited to see what he can do. And like you said, Summer League is going to be very, very interesting this year, especially with those 4 rookies. And then outside of those 4 rookies, maybe Baby Top is going to probably be on the Summer League team, I would think. And then it'll probably be a bunch of other guys that we've never even heard of and that'll never sniff the roster.
Right. I like what, like I said, the Summer League should be fun. Nick, I think a lot of teams, we're getting away from, you remember a few years ago, I think you even said to me, if the guy's been in college for 3 or 4 years, you don't want him. That has changed, man. That has changed. Yes. You want guys with more maturity. I even said back then, I want a guy with more maturity. I want a guy, you see that these guys.
If you're picking outside of the top 10, if you're picking inside the top 10, then that's typically the time where you want to go with somebody who's got some more, upside, a guy who was good enough to come out after his freshman year or something like that.
But I think you're seeing, and I don't know the statistics behind this. This is just off the top of my head. I think we're seeing more and more guys get in the NBA, especially in that top 10, because they're taking such flyers on guys that have played maybe 1 year, or guys that are from overseas that you never heard of before, but you think, have all the measurables and all this, and the tape looks good. I feel like, and again, I don't know the numbers, I feel like more and more guys in the top 10 end up being guys that you never hear from again after 2 years. I just feel like that. I don't know. We got to get our crack research crew on that to look that up. Get the guys with get the gerbils spinning back there. But I just feel that way, and I think that Nick, that again, this goes back. This is part and parcel to the whole Paul George thing. That I think people are living like he's running on fumes as far as not his playing ability, but he's running on those fumes from when he was so great. He's not that player anymore. To be
He was
paying
pretty
this
good
guy
last year.
max, but Nick, trust me, I can see it. I'm clairvoyant these ways. You know this. He's not. It's not going to work out that way for them, man. He's not that guy anymore, man. And I
I mean,
think
last year he played 74 games. He averaged 22 points. He shot 41 from three, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal and a half. It's pretty good.
well, we'll see. We'll see. Embiid's going to ruin him. You'll see.
Yeah,
No, but honestly, playing alongside Maxey, come on, that looks like a good tandem. Those two right there. Yeah,
it does. And you know, they're gonna pose some problems for the Knicks. I think overall we're deeper, and I just think that, you know, Paul George, okay, well, at the end of the day, when you're playing and, you know, you have OG guarding you, and then, you know, and then you go and you go get a pick and it switches off, and now Mikal Bridges is on you. And that's another reason also. Clank. That's also another reason why I feel like the Julius at the center works, is because when you have those two wings who are both tall, long, and can help.
If Embiid's in the game?
Well, no. Not against Embiid. Not against Embiid.
Okay.
Not against Embiid specifically. But I'm saying that, like, when we do run like that smaller lineup, when you have OG and you have Bridges as your 4 and your 3, I think that protects Julius a little bit. And Julius is strong. You know what I mean? It's just, as long as you don't have a center who's extremely offensively talented and, you know, 7 feet tall, which there's only a few of those guys. I mean, who other than Embiid, who else are we talking about that's 7 feet tall and so offensively talented that like, you know, Julius would have a hard time holding?
Well, that's why specifically to play that team is where we miss it, like a Hartenstein. Okay, because
but Embiid cooked Hartenstein last year.
I know, but you just need the body, Nick. You need the body. If he and if him and Mitch are both healthy, that's a good tandem to just throw at him. You got 12 fouls. Let's go. We can play against this guy. Mitch and I don't know. Achua, forget that. Okay.
Achua did pretty good against Embiid last year.
Yeah, that's true. He probably does better than Jericho Sims against Embiid. I mean,
Jericho Sims, with Jericho Sims, it's just that he just
gets lost.
He's lost, man.
Too much hair.
It's too much hair. I don't know if it's the hair. I don't know what it is, but he needs to. It's overall awareness. He's got to do something. He's got to figure something out, and I'm sure they're working with him. But I'm kind of starting to feel like I don't know if he's ever going to be that guy. You know, is he going to gain so much defensive awareness? Like, you know, in year 5, like, I don't know. We'll see how it works out. Trust in Leon. Knicks will be okay. I'm still as hype. I would have loved to bring back iHart, but, you know, he's not the difference between, you know, us getting to the mountaintop or not. I just, you know, he's good, but he's not $29 million a year good.
No.
Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese both named WNBA All-Stars. The two rookies who have been connected since their time in college will now be playing on the same team, which I think is pretty cool. And also, the structure of the WNBA All-Star game has me interested. As you know, I'm not super interested in the WNBA overall. This year, viewership is like, and votes, I saw votes for the All-Star game among all players were up 598%. So the Caitlin Clark effect is definitely real. Angel Reese was very emotional when she got the news that she was going to be an All-Star. As you know, I think both of those two should have been put on the Team USA team. And I think there's a storyline here with those players now being able to go against those USA players and that USA roster in the All-Star game. I think it's a great move by the WNBA to make that, to have that structure. And it brings a lot of, interest from casuals like me.
No doubt. It's a no-brainer to have those two in the All-Star game, both because of the way how well they're both playing and what they're doing for their respective teams, and for the marketing reasons. 100%. They needed to be on that team, and it will be interesting. I'm glad to see them playing together. You know, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And like you say, so what? It's going to be now like the WNBA All-Stars against the Olympic team?
Yes.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see that. Yes, I would love to see that. That's going to be fun to watch. Let's go. I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Obviously, it's going to get a ton of WNBA All-Star game. Is it? Is it here? Is it in Phoenix this year?
I can see that. Phoenix draws a lot of people to those games, man. The Phoenix Mercury.
Yes, July 20th in Phoenix. Yeah,
Okay.
we might have to make a move. We might have to make a move and try and get in there. I mean,
Maybe do the pod from the game.
I don't really see how that works, but no, man. Yeah, I don't know. I've been to one WNBA game in my entire life. It was a Liberty game a long time ago, and back when they were still in the Garden. But yeah, man, that being here in Phoenix, we might try to have to make a move and try to see that. And I just think it's going to be cool, man. Like if we could get like a moment where Caitlin Clark like drops a dime to Angel Reese. Angel Reese goes up and those two are high-fiving each other, chest bumping each other, or maybe somebody gives a hard foul to Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese gets in their face. Like, I just think that there's just so many storylines with this, and it's cool to see these two actually play together so young in their career. And the two of them realize that they will always be connected. And so as much as it's a rivalry, I hope like similar to like a Bird and Magic, they're able to form a bond and a friendship over what they've been able to create together, because it's very, very cool for women's basketball. And, we're talking about the WNBA for like the third or fourth time on this pod. And I've seen it covered so much on all the different, sports talk shows more in these last few months than it has since, Rebecca Lobo and Lisa Leslie were in the league. And it's just going to be interesting to see how this plays out the rest of the season. And I hope that not only are they able to, do well in this all-star game and play together, but I hope those teams are able to improve overall. Hopefully Caitlin Clark's, her teammates can start catching some passes. Yo, you saw that thread I sent you the other day of all the passes that she's throwing to people that they're just like
straight to they're getting better though. Her assist numbers are going up, so I'm assuming they're getting better. And no, I think Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are both very bright young women, and they're smart enough to realize that as much as everybody at first wanted Magic and Bird to be like enemies and all this, that, and the other thing, their whole rivalry and everything only got better when it was and the whole advertisement thing and everything, when you realize that these guys were rivals but also had great respect and love for one another. I mean, and that has served them well ongoing through life, even after playing days and whatnot. So I think that you're looking at the same sort of track with Reese and Clark.
Yeah, I definitely, there's so many parallels between the Bird and Magic thing, and we can only hope that they continue to give us, memories and moments like that for the rest of their professional careers.
No doubt.
New York Mets have lost 2 straight to the Nationals, back-to-back tough L's. The bullpen unable to get it done in Wednesday's game. And Christian Scott was pitching pretty well until, in my opinion, he was left in a little bit too long. I love Mendoza. I did not love his management of the pitching staff in the 7-5 loss on July 3rd, Wednesday. And then early this morning on July 4th, they were not able to scratch out a run and lost 1-0. Overall, though, still continuing on the upward trajectory. I thought it was really important that first game of the Nationals that we won, because you cannot lose 3 straight after one of your players does a performance, for the entire crowd. You lose 3 straight after that, and everybody's like, the OMG. Everybody's like, yo. As much as we look to grimace as the beginning of the Mets resurgence, that OMG, don't go 4-12 after that, because everybody's going to look at that as when it all started to go downhill. But Mets still continuing to look like a much better team than we saw the first couple months, even after the first 2 L's. And now we go to Pittsburgh for 4, and we need to win at least 3 of those games.
Yeah, we got to come up big in Pittsburgh. I mean, after these, they're going 2-2 with these guys, especially with a 5-run lead yesterday. I did want to have a bone to pick with somebody who I love his work, I respect his work, but I don't agree with this take with Alan Hahn, my guy. He came out yesterday, I think it was yesterday, saying how he thought the grimace and the OMG thing were so Bush League. And, if he heard that somebody in the league was doing that, he would assumed it would be the Mets. It's so gimmicky. He was also ripping on the trumpets, the Timmy trumpet thing from last year or a couple years ago with Sugar, And I'm like, look, come on, man, stop. Now you sound like a get off the lawn guy. I mean, it's not a big deal. The Grimace thing was just a goof that day, and you know what? The team won after it, so we're having fun with it. What's the
but it's not the Mets that are doing that. It's the fans and
right? Some fans in the league
they had him throw out the first pitch. Right. He's like McDonald's, like their pride representative, I guess, is Grimace. And it was Pride Month, and they had him throw out the first pitch. The fact that the Mets immediately won 7 straight after that, the fans, kind of latched on, and everybody's pro Grimace.
But you want to act like, oh, somehow that's cheap, and we're like a second-rate organization bringing out midgets and whatnot. Come on, man. I was so
little people.
Oh, sorry. I was so tired of that take. I just thought it was weak. Come on, man. But he's a Yankee fan, so take it for what it's worth.
It's just typical Yankee hate. Like, that's all that is.
I told you from the start, man, when you were a kid, man. Dude, I can't get down with that Yankee blue blood bullshit, The Mets are a team of the people, Come on now. You know how it is, Mets, Jets. Anyway, I do think the Mets are, they're okay. And, we had a couple losses. Listen, in baseball, it's never going to be a straight line up. You're going to get ups and downs. The key is, can we pull it together when it's necessary? We got Senga on the mend. He's coming back.
Looked fantastic in his rehab start. Was hitting 98 and, hitting 98, and he looks like he's ready to be back in the rotation very, very soon. And all our starters, we've had a lot of starters step up recently. Manaea, Peterson, Severino, Quintana pitched a great game, and he's been a little bit up and down. I mean, I feel like we have a lot of good things going. The biggest issue right now, obviously, is the bullpen. I mean, you take Sugar away. I did like what I saw out of Budo the other day. He looked good in relief.
Did like what I saw out of Budo. Did like what I seen out of Nunez coming in and relief.
Daniel Nunez he's a godsend. I mean, he
might be. Man, could he be the closer of the future?
Well,
listen, I'd love to lengthen him out, but this guy's stuff is electric, man.
So
to me, I feel like nobody can hit him.
I think right now, if everybody is healthy and not suspended, he's our setup guy at the very least. I mean, I still think that Sugar, and remember, Sugar was pitching really, really well right before he did get suspended for the sticky stuff. But at the very least, I would say that Budo is our setup guy. And I'm sorry. Nunez is our setup guy. And, he can go 2 innings if you need him to as well. I love what you're seeing from him. And, the bullpen, obviously, we got to get shored up. If we want to really, really make a run, we're going to have to add an arm or two around the trade deadline. And right now, I think the biggest key is tread water. If we go 8-8 over the next 16, that's fine. Right. Just don't friggin' go 4-12. You know what I mean?
We can't have a stretch like that.
We can't have a stretch like that. And, you continue to tread water, and then, you pop off another 7-game win streak and everything feels okay. Everybody's all right. So, we got to continue to tread water. We got to continue to, keep ourselves in the race. We had to make a run to get in the conversation. Now we're in the conversation. We can't let all of that get, just completely disintegrated by, a shitty couple weeks.
Yeah, no doubt. You're right. We got to stay in the race. I mean, it's so crowded now. Just all those teams in there fighting, in that last couple wild card spots. That's a very crowded area. So, anybody that goes on a run is going to really vault themselves. And I think we can do that. We still haven't really gotten truly hot at the plate, as hot as we can. And Marte's down. Who knows? I mean, Marte might be down for like a month. I mean, it's like, come on. What happened? What's wrong with him?
He's got a bone bruise.
Where? His knee?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Yeah. Who knows? Yeah, he gets injured every year, man. Something happens with this guy. But love Marte. He was hitting the ball really well. We need him back. We need Alonso to really start picking it up. I still think we have a chance to keep it interesting. We'll see.
Quick correction on Klay Thompson. He got 3 years, $50 million from the Mavs, and it allegedly the Warriors they couldn't commit to the 2 years, $40 million. That was the headline that I saw before.
So
But no,
it's like 17 per.
Yeah. And, he did, and they say that LeBron like reached out to him. They talked. He really tried to recruit him, but he just, he wasn't down to go to LA. He wanted to go to Dallas, and I kind of feel like Klay is more of a Dallas guy than an LA guy. I know he's from there and all that, but Klay's kind of just like more of a like, let me just get tucked in over here as opposed to deal with all this, noise that comes with the Lakers.
Like you said, he has a better chance to win there, Nick.
Basketball fit,
the team dynamic, the basketball aspect of it, it's just better. Much better. And listen, we know this about Mark Cuban and Dallas Mavericks. They take really good care of their players. Just as far as amenities, that sort of thing.
The best.
I mean, he probably went and visited and was like, wow, so like an amazing buffet. But no, something. They supposedly take some of the best care of their players over anybody in the league, is what I've always heard.
I know that they were like one of the leaders in that years ago. I think that probably other NBA franchises have caught up to that somewhat, but he definitely was a bit of an innovator just in the overall creature comforts for, his players for sure. We're all over the place here. Coming back to the Mets, the Iglesias, Mr. OMG, he's been fantastic. He should be our everyday second baseman. Your boy McNeil Squirrel is done. Put a fork in him. I mean, come on, man. It's so bad. He's got the worst average against fastballs in the entire major leagues. And every time he comes up, it's just like, okay, here comes the pop-up, and he might, and he's going to slam his freaking helmet into the ground. And sometimes after an at-bat, man, I look at him and I'm like, yo, somebody better stay close to him. Don't let him go off being by himself now, because this guy, he could do something rash.
He's going to get hurt throwing that helmet on the ground, and it bounces back up and cuts him in the face. That's going to happen. And the constant murmuring afterwards, right? He needs someone to talk to after some of those events. Do you think he could get DFA'd?
Oh,
I don't think they do that.
I don't know. He's not going to get
sticks
DFA'd.
around.
He's not going to get DFA'd.
He plays a good second base. He can play outfield. He's going to stick around. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't want to see him in any lineup instead of our guy Iglesias right now. Iglesias is a better fielder, and he's much better at the plate right now.
Yeah, I read somebody saying that Acuna, they should bring up Acuna and whatnot, but I don't think that. Not yet.
Don't rush that kid. And Iglesias is playing well. So, to me, it's not like we have a hole at second base. Like, we have an answer there, and I don't want to rush him. And it's not like that guy's just ripping up, the minor leagues right now. Like, he's doing okay, but I think people get a little bit more excited at him due to his name than his actual game. And Vientos now, when it comes to third base, Vientos is the third baseman for the foreseeable future. In 41 games this year, he's hitting .291. He's got a .914 OPS. He's got 10 home runs and 141 at-bats. In comparison, Pete has 18 home runs and 320 at-bats. The fielding is a little bit shaky, but it has improved. He's got a strong arm. He needs to tighten up the webbing on his glove. That ball getting caught in his webbing the other day. But yeah, man, Vientos, that guy, he hits the ball so hard. He hits absolute bombs. I've heard that he wants to be in the home run derby. I think he would do great in something like that. And, hopefully he doesn't try to get so muscle bound and get all, get all his muscles too tight like this guy, but I've heard even some comparisons to your boy Stanton.
Well, yeah, they say he's a very strong guy. He listen, last year from our third base, we got 15 home runs. We have 11 home runs from third base already this year, and he's 10 of them, obviously. So we're getting much better production from the position.
What happens to Beatty?
Beatty right now has to just be saying, has to have like a voodoo doll, a Vientos voodoo doll, because he's got to realize his career at third base for the Mets is over. Okay, either he comes back as a outfielder if he's ripping up the ball down there. Maybe next season when you're going to change some things up, maybe you're not bringing back a Marte. Maybe Squirrel's gone. He could be.
Beatty better start taking some reps at second base. Okay, he better start trying to learn how to play. Yeah, it's something if he wants to play for the Mets.
Right, but I'm thinking outfield. But second base, who knows, somewhere. But he's got a tough time. Listen, get back a little bit to Squirrel, okay? So Squirrel was the batting champion years ago and has just totally shit the bed. You know what I heard yesterday during the Mets game. I don't know if you heard the same. This guy, Tim Anderson, who used to be so good, Nick. He was such a good young ball player, great hitter, all that. He just got cut. He just got DFA'd now.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, this guy, a couple years ago, I was like, why can't the Mets get this guy?
Right.
What
Right.
happened? How can you fall off that much? These guys are not on steroids. I mean, Nick, he was legitimately a few years ago heralded as one of the new up and coming guys.
5-tool player.
MLB. A 5-tool guy. He's the guy. He
got DFA'd by the
He's
Marlins.
Lasting's Village.
He's Lasting's Village.
You Met fans will get that reference.
Jesus, Lasting's Village, man. Remember when he was high-fiving people as he was coming off after like making a play? And we were like, we got him and Reyes as the 1 and 2 for years to come. He's the guy.
What a bust.
The Lasting's Village, the Ike Davises of the world. These guys who, and that's the thing, as much as we think Vientos is the guy forever, we've seen it before. Yeah. Exactly. In baseball, we know it could all go south at any time. One guy who I don't think there's any turning back for and who is going to be an absolute star is our guy Francisco Alvarez. I mean, he just exudes star. I mean, everything from, his look to his energy, he looks like the former number 1 prospect in all of baseball. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I heard that, I'm sure you heard that story about Steve, that Steve Gelb said the other night, where they were talking about going and seeing him as a 15-year-old kid down in DR. And he's the only person that's, hitting home runs in this park, and he's 15. And they were like, back then the Mets thought that they had something in a great hitter, but they had no idea that he was going to be such a great battery mate. And he's just been fantastic. His plate discipline is light years ahead of what it was last year in his rookie season. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just he's raised his average by almost 100 points. He's hitting 291. He's got a .850 OPS, and I love his mound visits as well. I saw the other day, who was it that came in? I forget exactly who it was. It might have been this guy, Dykman, however you say it. And then he comes in, and I think maybe he walked a couple guys. I don't know if it was him, but somebody came in, they walked a couple guys, they gave a hit, and you could tell they were stressing. And he just came out and just was smiling at him and laughing at him and trying to calm him down and no big deal. And they end up getting out of it. And then there's other times I've seen him get out there and get fiery with guys. I just think he's fantastic, man. We know the record is, substantially better with him in the lineup so far this year, and it just jumps off the screen the type of impact this guy has on the game and on the Mets in so many different ways.
Oh yeah, Alvarez is fantastic. I mean, he's been hitting well. He loves that high fastball. He can take it the opposite way really well, and like you said, his plate discipline is fantastic, and just his work behind the plate has also been fantastic. I wish he could throw out a couple more base stealers, but he does on occasion.
His arm is not. It's not like it's not Watt's arm.
I just wish the Mets could throw out more base stealers, but it's just not.
Well, this guy Torrance throws out everybody.
He's done pretty well.
He's thrown out like 7 of 10, I think, attempted base stealers.
And if you can keep playing against the Nationals, you're going to throw people out. They're really stupid on the base pass sometimes. I don't get it, but they did just beat us 2 games out of 4. But Francisco Alvarez, listen, come on, man, that guy's awesome. It was obviously, when they picked this guy up years ago, that was obviously a fantastic bit of scouting to get him. And, he's that guy, man. He warrants the pick that was used on him and all the, hullabaloo. It's been worth it with this guy, man. He's the guy. He is as advertised.
Absolutely. Lindor continues to sparkle in the field and at the plate. He's been fantastic. And Brandon Nimmo, man, this guy has become not just an on-base machine. He has become a very dangerous hitter. Last 25 games, he's hitting .330 with a 1.022 OPS, 8 doubles, a triple, 6 home runs, and 20 ribeye stakes. He's second amongst all MLB left fielders in WAR this season. And he's been doing this consistently now. He's 8th among all fielders, among all outfielders in the MLB in WAR since 2021. And wow. I think that what he's done, I think JD Martinez has been a huge asset to him. And he's just being more aggressive. He's up there looking to do damage. For a lot of his career, Nimmo was up there looking to walk. And now Nimmo, if the count's in his favor, he's up there to do damage. He can hit the ball with authority to all fields. And, he's even tried to attempt to steal a couple bags this year. Loving what I'm seeing out of Nimmo. And, if he can continue to be a guy who is a weapon out there and not just a guy who is trying to get to first base, it really, really changes the entire whole lineup.
Definitely. I love it watching Brandon Nimmo because we've seen this guy grow up, as a Met. So I'm very happy to see him progress. He's an excellent player. He just plays very hard. He plays the game exactly the way you want to see it played. He just, he's out there doing all the right things, saying all the right things, being a good teammate. Nothing but good things and good feelings and good vibes about Brandon Nimmo, no doubt.
Yeah, just make sure you stay careful when you're in your hotel room by yourself. No more falls and gashes.
Don't get up so fast.
Yeah, the guy just. It's kind of hard for me to understand how this guy is like a professional athlete. And, he's fainting because he got up too fast. Or I don't know. I think there's something more.
It can happen. Yeah, who knows?
Well, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out, and if we can actually get to the postseason. But it's fun to have relevant baseball in Queens, and I got no beef with Grimace. I got no beef with the OMG. Let's just not give the haters like Alan Hahn, who you and I both love when it comes to basketball, but when it comes to baseball, hey man, why be such a hater? Like it's not even like it doesn't even like mesh with Alan Hahn's overall persona to be he's not that guy.
Well, and Bart wasn't on, so you didn't have Bart to come in and say stop being a hater, because Bart would have represented for the Mets, but he wasn't on. So there you go.
Catch us every week on YouTube or wherever you find your podcasts. Please follow, like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification button on all platforms. Really appreciate all the love. You can find us on all socials at he_did this to me. Love you, big guy.
Love you, kid. Happy birthday, America.